Working with multiple file types in a single project can be a stylistic choice, but it can also be very distracting if it's unintentional. You need to be able to adjust and fix these different media types appropriately so that your project doesn't suffer. And here's how you do it. If your project is using footage pulled from different sources, like public domain or stock footage, it's most often not going to be the exact same frame rate, aspect ratio, resolution, or codec. So if your story is intended to have the same visual look and feel throughout, then you should conform all your video to match your preferred settings. Use any conversion software like MPEG Streamclip or Adobe Media Encoder to make sure everything is the same. Before you start editing, you should create a sequence with settings that reflect your project's preferences. Most programs let you choose whatever settings you want, including codec, frame rate, and resolution. Adobe Premiere even lets you drag and drop a file onto the New Sequence button and will create one with that clip's settings. And if a new file doesn't match with your current sequence, Premiere will ask you if you want to keep the current settings or match with the new file, so pick which one works best for your project. If you're not sure which settings or format work best, here's an overview that can help you decide. There are many frame rates that you can use in video production. All have their drawbacks and benefits, but the visual differences between them are pretty noticeable even to untrained eyes. The lower the frame rate, the more motion blur it will have and the more cinematic it will feel, while a higher frame rate gives you more hyper-realistic and crisp images. For the most common rates, 24 frames per second is the industry standard for movies and single-camera TV shows, 30 frames per second is typical for digital cameras and web video, and 60 is standard for multi-camera sitcoms, soap operas, and live broadcasts, including sports. The aspect ratio, or the proportion of a video's width to its height, is incredibly important to not only the look, but also the feeling of a video or film. 4x3 and square give you a more retro, intimate, and nostalgic look and feel. 2.39 or 2.4 to 1 gives you a more cinematic, grand, and epic look and feel. And 16:9 can be wide and cinematic, but also standard for today's viewers. Once you start mixing aspect ratios, you need to watch out for any unintentional cropping, letterboxing, and pillar boxing. Cropping is cutting off anything that doesn't fit, so be prepared to lose those pixels. Letterboxing is when there are horizontal black bars above and below the video, which means your clip has a larger aspect ratio than your sequence. Pillar boxing is when there are vertical black bars on the sides of the video. This is normal for 4x3 and square clips put on a 16:9 or higher sequence, and if scaled to fit, it cuts the pixels off at the top and bottom. There are several different resolutions that are used today, with 4K becoming more and more common. Therefore, if you're adding older footage to a 4K project, then you need to either conform it before you start or use After Effects' detail-preserving upscale effect. This will increase your clip's resolution to fit your project and keep it from breaking down and becoming pixelated or distorted. Adjust the parameters to get the best result, or simply click on the Fit to Width or Height button. When it's all said and done and your video is ready to go, the final thing to do is export it. Match your source settings to keep it consistent with your sequence, or adjust it as needed. You can change anything in your export settings to your final delivery output, like if your client needs both a 1080 and a 4K UHD version, or if your sequence frame rate is 30 and needs to be delivered at 24. If you like this video and want to see more, check out our YouTube channel and subscribe for other tutorials. You can also read the Pond5 blog for an in-depth companion piece, as well as other filmmaking tips and tricks. And as always, head over to pond5.com to get millions of video clips and other assets to use in your next project.